Dawn after the storm. Night fell, and I lay beside little Knock, my heart heavy yet strangely at peace. The journey we had just endured replayed in my mind like an old film, from the day the child trembled and whispered, "Grandma, let's run away," to those terrifying nights filled with sirens and tears. It was as if a nightmare had just dissolved, leaving behind a profound lesson. Some pains do not come to destroy us, but to awaken us and teach us to cherish what truly remains. The next morning, Hung took me and Knock to visit her grandfather's grave. Before the moss-covered mound, my son knelt, his voice choked, "Father, I've been unfilial. I failed to protect Mother and my daughter." I couldn't hold back my tears. Placing a bouquet of yellow chrysanthemums on the grave, I softly prayed, "My dear, thanks to heaven's mercy, we have escaped calamity. But now our family is no longer whole. Please, from where you are, watch over your children and grandchildren." Knock stood nearby, her small hands clasped, her voice gentle, "Grandpa, please help Daddy and Grandma be stronger. I promise I'll be good." That innocent prayer tightened my chest, yet it also brought a flicker of warmth. This little girl was the beam of light in our darkest days. That evening, Hung sat beside me, his voice low but steady, "Mother, I'll start over. I won't let you and my daughter live in fear anymore. I'll change, for both of you." I looked at him, seeing determination glimmer in his eyes. For the first time since everything happened, my heart felt calmer. Though the road ahead might still be rough, at least we still had each other, still had family to lean on. When Hung decided to file for divorce, the air in the house grew heavy as lead. I knew my son was hurting, but it was a necessary pain, one that would allow a new beginning. When he brought me the papers to sign, his hands trembled, sweat soaking his shirt. I placed my hand on his shoulder and whispered, "My son, suffer once and let it pass. Your mother and your child will always stand by you." Hung lifted his eyes, red and swollen. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to stand. I promise, from now on I'll live only for you and Knock." Hearing that, Knock burst into tears and clung tightly to her father's neck. "Daddy, please don't leave me. I only have you and Grandma now." The three of us held each other for a long time, clinging to what warmth was left after the storm. On the day of the trial, Tu appeared in prison clothes, her face gaunt, hair disheveled. Our eyes met briefly. I couldn't tell if it was regret, shame, or resentment in hers. Hung avoided her gaze, silently signing the divorce papers. When the hearing began, Tu broke down, pleading, "Hung, I know I was wrong. Please give me another chance, give our daughter her home back." Hung clenched his hands, his voice trembling yet resolute. "That chance is gone, Tu. You didn't just betray your husband, you tried to harm my mother and our daughter. I can't forgive you." Watching it all, my heart felt only pity. No more anger, no more hatred. Only sorrow for a life gone astray, for someone who lost everything to blind ambition. The trial ended. Hung officially gained custody of Knock. I knew the road ahead was still long, but at least we had found peace again, the simple happiness that, sometimes, one must walk through storms to truly understand. Beyond the gate of life. As we stepped out of the courthouse, Hung suddenly buried his head on my shoulder, sobs breaking from him like a child's. "It's really over, Mom." I held his shoulders tightly, my voice trembling but steady. "My son, sometimes we must lose something to realize what we truly need to live. Don't cry anymore. You still have me and your daughter, you must stand strong." In the days that followed, Hung threw himself into work, as if he could drown his sorrow in endless hours of labor. He left early, came home late, yet no matter how tired he was, he always took time to sit with Knock and help her with her homework. I noticed a new firmness in his eyes. The pain hadn't disappeared, but he had learned how to move forward. Knock, too, grew calmer. She no longer woke in panic as before. Still, at night, she often crept into my arms and whispered, "Grandma, don't let me sleep alone, please. I'm scared." I hugged her gently, stroking her hair. There, my dear. Grandma's always here with you." One afternoon, our kind neighbor, Mrs. Howe, came by with some vegetables from her garden. She took my hand and said warmly, "After hardship, we see it clearly, only family lasts forever. The three of you still have each other, and that's happiness already. You must stay strong, so your children won't worry." I nodded, my eyes brimming. Yes, I was old, but I was still the only pillar for my son and granddaughter. I couldn't allow myself to falter. One day, Hung told me, "Mom, I'm thinking of selling this apartment and buying a smaller one, closer to Knock's school. This place holds too many painful memories. I want to start over. I was silent for a moment, then quietly nodded. Wherever you and my granddaughter are, that's home, son. So we moved into a small but cozy apartment. In the evenings, I often told Knock bedtime stories, fairy tales, stories about kindness and compassion. I only wished that she would grow up to live with goodness, never to stray as her mother once did. One night, after listening to the story of Tam and Cam, Knock looked up and whispered, "Grandma, when I grow up, I'll be like Tam. No matter how mean people are, I'll stay kind. I'll always love you and Daddy." My eyes welled up, and I nodded, my voice choked. "I believe you, my sweet girl. You'll find happiness someday." That night, I couldn't sleep. But for the first time, there was no fear, only a quiet faith within me. After every storm, the sky will clear. I silently vowed that as long as I lived, I would devote every day to protecting my son and granddaughter. Our new life was simple, but each morning felt lighter. I woke early to prepare breakfast, then walked Knock to school. Slowly, her smile returned, though in her eyes, there still lingered a shadow whenever someone mentioned her mother. One day, she softly asked, "Grandma, is Mommy too still angry with me? Why doesn't she let me stay with her?" I paused, holding back a sigh, and gently stroked her hair. "My dear, your mother made mistakes, but you're still her child. Adults sometimes lose their way, but one day she'll understand. None of this is your fault, so don't be sad, alright?" Knock nodded and wrapped her arms around me. I smiled. A quiet smile after all the storms, simple yet filled with peace. Knock nestled tightly in my arms, silent and still. I knew the wound in her heart was still there. Time might pass, but it would not heal so easily. Yet I believed that the love of our family would, little by little, help her forget the shadows of the past. Hung poured all his strength into work. He worked tirelessly, at the office by day, and at night, he sat beside his daughter to help with her lessons. Sometimes I saw how thin he'd become, dark circles under his eyes, and when I asked, he only smiled, "I'm fine, Mom. As long as I still have you and Knock, I have the strength to keep going." Looking at my son, I felt both sorrow and pride. The storms of life had made him more mature. He had learned to treasure the simplest things. One morning, I received a summons from the court. My former daughter-in-law, wanted to meet us to say a few words. My hands trembled as I held the paper. There was still pain in my heart, but in the end, I said to Hung, "You should go. Not to forgive, but to bring closure. Only when we can face the past can we truly let it go." Hung was silent for a long time before nodding. That day, we went to the prison. Inside the cold room, Tu walked in with a weary face, her eyes sunken and lifeless. The moment she saw us, she broke down in tears. "Mother, I'm so sorry. I was greedy, foolish. I don't expect forgiveness, I just want to see my daughter once." Hearing her call me, "Mother," my heart softened. I could never forget what she had done, but I couldn't turn away either. I said gently, "Everyone makes mistakes, but the price isn't small. Live well during the days you have here. If fate allows, start again when you're free." Tu sobbed uncontrollably. Hung sat beside me, silent, his eyes filled with both sorrow and resolve. At the end of the visit, Tu only asked to see her daughter through the glass divider. Knock was frightened and clung tightly to me, refusing to move closer. My heart ached. To be a mother and only be able to love your child through a sheet of cold glass was pain beyond measure. On the way home, Hung said nothing for a long while. Nearing the house, he finally spoke softly. "Forgiveness may come, but forgetting is harder, Mom. Still, I think this chapter is closed." I nodded, eyes glistening. Sometimes life needs a full stop before a new page can begin. In the days that followed, we slowly returned to a peaceful rhythm. I spent my time teaching Knock how to cook, to sew, and told her stories from long ago. She smiled more now, spoke freely, and played happily with her friends. And every weekend, Hung took me to the temple. "Mom," he once said, "every time I hear the temple bell, I feel lighter inside." I looked at my son, silently thanking heaven and Buddha for giving him the strength to rise after the storm. One evening, the three of us sat by the window, watching the fading sunlight spill across the porch. Suddenly, memories flooded back. The night Knock trembled and whispered, "Grandma, we have to run," the blaring sirens, the tears of despair on my son's face. Everything drifted by like an old, distant film. I turned to Hung and said softly, "My son, happiness doesn't need to be grand. Just seeing you and my granddaughter safe every day is enough for me. Be grateful for what remains." He squeezed my hand, his voice warm and steady. "I understand now, Mom. I'll never lose our family again. I'll live for you and for my daughter." Hearing that, Nok cheered and wrapped her arms around her father's neck. "I love you, Daddy. I love you, Grandma. I just want to be with you both forever." I smiled through tears. All the pain, all the exhaustion, they seemed to dissolve in that one moment. As night fell, I sat on the balcony, watching the moonlight spill across the rooftops. The breeze carried the soft scent of peace. I smiled to myself and thought, no matter what lies ahead, as long as we have each other, the three of us will overcome everything. After that final visit to the prison, I knew that everything between Hung and Tu had truly ended. In our small home, no one mentioned her name anymore, though the wounds inside us had not yet fully healed. Some nights, I saw my son sitting silently at his desk, eyes lost in the distance. The sadness was still there, but now there was something else in his gaze, calmness and resolve. He no longer tried to escape the past, he was learning how to rise after being broken. Little Nok, surrounded by love, slowly found her smile again. She told stories from school, proudly showed her perfect scores, and sometimes sang cheerful rhymes around the house. Yet whenever someone mentioned her mother, a deep, quiet sorrow flickered in her eyes. I knew, some wounds only time and tenderness can heal. One afternoon, as the two of us watered the flower pots on the balcony, Nok suddenly asked in a soft voice, "Grandma, do you think Mommy too will come back to me someday?" I froze for a moment, then gently pulled her into my arms. "Your mother is paying for her mistakes now, but she's still your mother. If one day she truly regrets and wants to start over, and you can forgive her, that would be a beautiful thing. All I wish is that you grow up with a kind heart." Nok thought for a while, then whispered, her voice as faint as a breeze, "I don't hate her, but I'm scared. I just want to stay with you and Daddy." Hearing that, my heart tightened. I could only hold her closer, swallowing the tears that threatened to fall. That night, Hung sat beside me, his voice low and heavy. "Mom, I feel so sorry for her. She's still so little but has been through so much. I just want to give her a better life, for the rest of mine." I placed my hand on his shoulder and said softly, "No one goes through life without stumbling. What matters is that after the storm, we learn to protect what truly matters. You've understood that, and that's enough. One day, Nok will grow up and know how hard her father tried for her." Time went on, and the three of us gradually found our rhythm again. The apartment was small, but laughter filled every corner. On weekends, Hung often took us to the park. Nok's favorite thing was eating ice cream while chatting nonstop. One day, she looked up and said, "Daddy, I'm so happy. Because I have you and Grandma." Hung smiled and turned to look at me, his eyes shining as if they held the whole sky. I nodded gently, yes, happiness is often that simple. One day, the three of us returned to our hometown to visit Nok's grandfather's grave. Standing before my husband's resting place, I whispered a prayer. "My dear, after all the storms, our family is still here. Life has changed, but our love remains the same." Hung knelt down, his voice trembling. "I promise to live honorably, so that Mother and my daughter will never have to suffer again." Beside him, little Nok clasped her hands together and said innocently, "Grandpa, please bless Grandma and Daddy to stay healthy forever." Hearing her prayer, my heart swelled with emotion. I realized that no matter how life may change, the bond of family, that thread connecting 3 generations, will never break. That evening, as we sat around a simple meal, I looked at my son and granddaughter and felt a deep peace settle in my heart. Outside, the wind had quieted. After all the storms, peace had finally found its way home. Light after the storm, a strange sense of peace rose within me. After all the turmoil, I finally understood that what keeps us going in life isn't wealth or status, it's love and faith among family. I thought back to that fateful night, when little Nok trembled as she pulled my hand and whispered, "Grandma, let's run away." If I had hesitated then, if I hadn't trusted her instinct, perhaps neither of us would be sitting here safely today. The thought sent chills down my spine, yet deep inside, I felt immense gratitude toward life, toward the heavens for their protection. Hung turned to me with a gentle smile and said, "Mom, I think we're strong enough now to start again. Our new life begins today. Knock cheered. Dad's right. From now on, our home will always be happy. Her bright laughter echoed, dissolving every shadow that lingered in my heart. Tears welled up, but they were tears of relief. After everything, this little family had weathered the storm and finally found peace at the end of the road. I knew there might still be hardships ahead, but as long as the three of us held hands, nothing could tear us apart. Epilogue. Dear friends and listeners, the story we've just shared may have touched the hearts of many. It all began with a child's innocent whisper in the dark, a whisper that led to a journey filled with trials, where love, courage, and awakening saved a family. The grandmother, old in years but steadfast in heart, risked everything to protect her granddaughter. The little girl, pure and perceptive, became the light that guided her grandmother through the darkness. And the son, after his days of blindness and regret, finally realized that the true worth of life lies not in wealth, but in love, forgiveness, and the duty of being a father and a son. In today's world, many families have faced their own storms: betrayal, greed, selfishness. Such things can wound the heart, yet as long as love and clarity remain, people can still find their way back to one another. Happiness, after all, isn't far away. It may be found in a simple meal shared with loved ones, in a child's laughter echoing through a small home, or in a warm hand clasped tight after the storm has passed. The family in our story learned this truth, that being together is the most precious gift of all. The story ends, but its echo lingers, a gentle reminder. Cherish the ones you love while they are still beside you. Don't wait until loss teaches you what truly matters. Thank you for listening. If this story has brought you comfort, a lesson, or even just a few quiet moments of reflection, please subscribe and share it, so that more hearts may be touched. See you again in the next story.